What is up, ladies and gentlemen? So I finally played Lies of P this year. For those of you who don't even know what I'm talking about, I'd even click on the video then. I'm joking. Please stay, I need the views. So Lies of P is a Souls-like game based off the story of Pinocchio. And no, not the one from Shrek.
It's a thong! Ow! It breathes!
The OG Pinocchio. Now I know the word Souls-like may leave a bad taste in your mouth and cause you to write this game off as bland and boring, but it's neither of those things, and that's the point of this video. It was genuinely amazing and fun all the way through. So damn good, I stopped production on the Devil May Cry 1 boss ranking video just to start on this. Now going into the background of Lies of P, it came out in 2023, so I'm 2 years late when it comes to playing this game. It was made by Round 8 Studio and neowiz, and I'm glad they did because there are 5 reasons why Lies of P is one of the best games I've played in 2025 and one of the best Souls-like games. These 5 reasons being story, combat, enemies, environment, and the music. These will be the 5 main focal points of the video. Now before I get into them, Lies of P is a mix of Soulsborne games, but it works. The mix of Souls games being Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Dark Souls 3. This game feels very inspired from those 3. It has bonfires you level up at, or in this case stargazers. You can teleport between stargazers like bonfires. You level up just like in the Soul games. And there's a hub area known as Hotel Krat, which is like Majula in Dark Souls 2 that even connects other areas, but this is more technical because it's sectioned off with loading screens, making it a little bit more like the Hunter's Dream, being a mix of both. But this game has NPCs, quests, and descriptions and items, all like the Souls games. But that's enough of the similarities. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Let's get into why Lies of P is so damn good. Starting with the story. But before I get into the story and such, here's a quick spoiler warning. I will be talking about the story of Lies of P, if that wasn't obvious from what I just said. Spoiling events and bosses. So if you want a nice blind playthrough, go buy the damn game yourself and play it. Alright, that was the warning. So Lies of P is a story that takes place in Krat, which definitely isn't in America. The locale lacks, how should I put this, freedom. Now Krat was a really small village till they discovered souls. No, till they discovered runes. Or actually it's called Ergo, till they discovered Ergo. But it's kind of like one of the 2 things I just named. The city discovered Ergo and was like, hey, we can use this for the betterment of our society, and started creating all new technological advancements like the air fryer and puppets, but I ain't talking about no finger puppet. Maid puppets, police puppets, factory puppets. These puppets would help the people of Krat, turning the place into somewhat of a utopia. Now this all sounds great, and you the viewer are thinking, what, you play as a puppet who power washes property? Oh no, you sweet summer child, shit would hit the fan due to human greed and disease. Which is where the alchemists come in. To explain what they are, simply people playing God and experimenting with Ergo to see its full potential. Basically a scientist with a thing for religion and the occult. Now as the alchemists and others played with Ergo making all these new lovely toys, it came with a little problem. People exposed to too much of the Ergo got a disease known as a petrification disease, which people got and started dying. But the alchemists saw this as an opportunity to play God, to use this disease to push the bounds of humanity. They made fen zombies. So now people were getting sick and dying. So I know what you're thinking. You play as a doctor puppet who's trying to cure the disease. Wrong again. See, eventually for some reason, the puppets went crazy. They went on a frenzy and started killing everybody. So the utopia turned bloody and sick. Now this is where Pinocchio, though he's never called that in the game, comes in. See, our wannabe real boy woke up deep in the blood-soaked, diseased, and murderous puppet-filled city, and will spend the whole game trying to stop the puppet frenzy, as well as figure out who's behind it, and deal with many other issues. But that's the best way I can explain the story without going super deep, because let me tell you, this story gets deeper with betrayals, gods and stuff, and human puppet relations, which is kind of crazy. Now before I end this off on a smaller note, the world building and characters you meet are great. You meet people trying to survive in this town gone to hell, learn of their place in the city, what people did before the frenzy, and it's all interesting and built off the foundation of the story of Pinocchio, but branching so far out. The story is good, and the world environment really helps sell the story and make it interesting. Which is the next thing I want to talk about, the environment, and goddamn is it good. This is a high quality game, so the environment looks great. Plus, as I said, the environment helps tell the story, such as boarded up doors and windows showing how people are hiding from the killer puppets. You start the game in a train station seeing bodies and the luggage of people that tried to escape, which you can instantly infer from the environment and of course the bloody puppets. Then you make your way into the destroyed city seeing empty carriages, which you will spend a lot of time exploring this city, going through the streets and even the rooftops. But there's more to the city than streets and rooftops. There are the factories you see that create the puppets, there's the outskirts of the city where the poor lived, a church that's no longer a holy place, swamps where the broken are dumped and forgotten, and a tower holding dark secrets. These locations are also just a few. There are more places to visit and explore, but they are all amazing and interesting and differ. But I must also bring up, this game is more linear like Bloodborne, not a big open world like Elden Ring. It's filled with multiple paths and shortcuts to find. There are also NPCs to find in the environment that help build the story of the areas you are in. Then there are collectibles to find and posters on the wall to read, all pieces building the picture that is the story of Liza P. Now, there's Hotel Krat, which is like the hunter's dream from Bloodborne. It's a safe place to shop, upgrade gear, weapons, and yourself. But this place is also the last safe haven in the city. The people you interact with here all help push the story you are witnessing. Different people, all affected by these huge recent events in different ways, while also having interesting backgrounds themselves with bigger stories of their own. But a beautiful environment to walk around doesn't make a good game unless you're Death Stranding too. Which brings us to the third reason why this game is so good, and that is the enemies. Now when it comes to the enemies in this game, there are 4 types. The first are puppets of all different types, then humans, or as they're called in the game, stalkers, sweepers, bastards, or the Black Brotherhood. Yeah, they're out here making gangs. Third are the carcasses, which are the Fent zombies. And lastly, the alchemists. Now the enemies of course help tie back into the story, but also the world environment. As an example, you'll sometimes run into puppets that are brutally beating on dead bodies, like one of the first encounters you have at the start of the game. This helps tell and push the story without words. You'll even see certain puppets sad after a certain king dies. Now when it comes to puppet fighting types, there are puppets with signs, batons, and guns. There are puppet dogs, puppet babies, flamethrower puppets, clown puppets that piss me off and suck as random boss fights. But the best part about the enemy puppets are the different designs, as you may run into a soldier puppet or even maid puppets, and the designs look cool and show how the puppets were really the workforce of this city. Then there are carcasses, which are a way more aggressive enemy type. They come as people, dogs, suicide bombers sometimes, as well as other crazy types, like this tanky rip-off Wolverine one, which can be a hassle to deal with because of its range. That also has a big stomach mouth like it's a goddamn FNAF 4 animatronic. And there's Fent bears. But the enemies are still cool and allow for some variety for the player, though I like the puppets more, especially with their different designs. Now the next enemy type to talk about are humans. They are all reserved as boss fights or technically mini bosses, but unlike Bloodborne, the humans or human-sized enemies aren't that dangerous. Except this guy, he's a beast. And the last enemy type to talk about is the alchemist type. You've got guys with canes, guns, and hands, and I'm talking about hands. They be hitting you with Now, I would have to say alchemists are my second favorite type of enemy. The puppets are all around my favorite because there are so many types. Plus they look so cool design wise and speak puppet language. But the alchemist enemies also look cool and are super fun to fight. Carcasses are definitely my least favorite. I just tend to find them annoying. Design wise they are cool, no ifs, ands, or buts, but they're just lacking design wise compared to every other enemy. Plus they can be a pain in the ass to fight. Humans come in third for my favorite type. They are reserved as bosses but are fun to fight and parry, plus the dialogue they give is super interesting. And the designs are all dope too, with people having this weird mask fetish. Since I'm talking about bosses, when it comes to bosses, there are 15 in this game and they are all great. They all differ in both attacks and design, with cool arenas to fight in. But thank God I'm not going into detail because this isn't a boss ranking video. Unless, you guys want one, then maybe I'll make one. But bosses are great and end off areas. But the bosses and enemies also help show off another thing that makes Liza P so great, and that is the combat mechanics. Now this is the meat and potatoes of the video and technically the game, and is what makes it so fun to play. First off, we'll start with basic combat. You got basic slashes you can do, which you can do multiple times, make a combo. Then you got heavy attacks, which have a combo. Then there are charged heavy attacks, which connect to another mechanic called the fatal attacks, which is basically just a critical attack from Dark Souls. But you have to break down an enemy's stance, which will cause the health bar to go white. Then charge attack, and that'll leave the enemy open to a fatal attack. But watch out, because after you do a charge attack, some bosses do an attack before falling down for a fatal attack. Then of course, there's dodging. You get invincibility frames to dodge attacks. Pretty simple, just like a lot of games. Now the next of basic combat mechanics to talk about is honestly one of the most important, and that's blocking and parrying. Same type of parrying mechanic like in Sekiro and the 2 Star Wars Jedi games, which I plan to make series on all 3 one day. But Liza P parrying and blocking differ slightly with the addition of a Bloodborne mechanic, which is recovering health when hitting an enemy. So to explain, you'll block an attack, your health goes down, but there's some different shaded health left. You can hit an enemy and recover that health. You don't have to worry about any of that if you parry, which negates all damage and weakens enemy stance, allowing them to eventually be fatally attacked. Now moving on to the next basic mechanic. Say you don't block, parry, or dodge and you have the reflexes of a potato, you're gonna take damage, which you can recover with pulse cells. They're basically just an Estus flask, an item that heals you. Even this mechanic has slight variations. See, eventually, unless you reset at a Stargazer, you will run out of pulse cells just like in any Souls game. But when they deplete, if you attack an enemy enough, you can get 1 pulse cell back to keep the fight going or survive and run away. Now I've talked about the basics of combat, but there's one more tool left in this puppet's kit. Devil Breakers. Wait, no. Legion arms. I won't lie though, it's basically just Devil Breakers from DMC5. But they're still super fun. So, there are a total of 8 Legion arms, and I only use 4 to be honest. First is your starter, the left arm of steel, which I had to use. Its attacks are just a punch or a swing if you want to get technical. Then there's the puppet string, which I used a good amount. It's like the hook shot, but it brings enemies to you, or you can go to them. Very handy arm, I won't lie. Then there's the Falcon Eyes, which I use lightly. It's literally a blicky arm. It's used to shoot enemies with an explosive shell, so this arm allows you to get closer to Bloodborne. Then there's the Aegis, which was my number 1 Legion arm. Except in New Game Plus, I used the puppet string a lot and got this crazy attack. But anyways, Aegis is a shield you can use to block attacks. You can't block red attacks with it though. When an enemy hits it, that causes an explosion. It also gets a parry mechanic, then a deflect and stab upgrade, similar to the attack Link does in Ocarina of Time. The next arm to talk about is Deus Ex Machina, which lets you set explosive landmines. And you know what? Explosive landmines is a really redundant sentence. Anyways, the next arm is Flamebird, which lets you pull a Heat Blast or Johnny Storm, shooting fire from your arm. Then there's Fulminous, which is literally just Overture from DMC5, which is an arm that lets you send out electric attacks. Next is Pandemonium, which lets you shoot out acids. Now these arms are amazing. They help keep the game fresh and are genuinely just a blast to use, allowing for all types of playstyles. But these arms aren't unlimited use. You got an energy bar below the icon of the arm on your screen showing how many uses, but you can upgrade the capacity and arm energy recovery, allowing for pretty much unlimited use. With all these fun mechanics and arms to use, as well as new environments and enemies, the game stays fresh and fun throughout. But that's not it. This game also has a good amount of weapons, and by a good amount, I mean 40 damn weapons. Now full disclaimer, I did not use all 40 weapons, but there's a cool mechanic you can do with 29 out of the 40 weapons I want to talk about first. See, 29 of these weapons are called normal weapons and come in 2 parts, blade and handle. So you can mix 29 different blades with 29 different handles, making that a lot of goddamn weapon combinations. Now my normal weapon of choice was of course a great sword. I'm drawn to them by nature, specifically the Bluster Glaive Blade, which I pretty much used for the whole game. Towards the end mark, I finally assembled a weapon because certain bosses have elemental weaknesses, so I took an acid blade and stuck it on my sword and pieced up the boss. So yeah, this mechanic is amazing, allowing you to keep the same moveset if you want and switch blades, or vice versa. Now the other 11 weapons are special weapons you can get after defeating bosses. I used 3 special weapons during my first playthrough. The first being Etiquette, which basically made me the penguin. Very good weapon. I used it for the whole playthrough. My second special weapon was the Puppet Ripper. It's a very dope scythe to swing around, which also did great damage with an awesome long range heavy attack. The head of the scythe comes off to hit enemies and then attaches back. Then lastly, the Golden Lie, which I used the whole game from start to finish, which is a staff you get at the end of the game after meeting certain requirements. It's a staff that extends length and has cool special attacks and normal combo attacks. Now there's really only one thing left to talk about for combat mechanics, and that is the P organ.
I beg your pardon?
Now when I wrote this down, I realized how it sounded, but this is really Pinocchio's heart, which allows you to get all types of cool upgrades and abilities. How this system works is upgrading many abilities allows you to unlock a huge ability, like carrying an extra weapon or unlocking a special dodge roll. All things to keep the game fresh and interesting, making you more powerful as the game goes on. And with that, there's really only one thing left to talk about. The music of Lies of P, which is absolutely amazing. Now I'm gonna be totally honest, I can't remember a single boss fight song off the top of my head, except for the White Lady mini boss fight, which had some Bioshock-esque music playing during it, which sounded so damn good. But just because the music during the boss fights weren't as memorable, doesn't mean that all the musical records discovered throughout the game weren't. Which these records you find can be played at Hotel Krat, allowing the player to listen to absolute bangers for free. Which, if you aim to get the best and true ending, you need to listen to all the records. So to explain why you need to listen to all the music to get the true and best ending, like the original story of Pinocchio, our puppet is slightly on a quest to become a real boy. To do this, he must gain humanity. To gain humanity, he must do human things, like lying and killing, but also listening to music, which proves my point. The music in this game is so good that listening to it turned a puppet into a human. Think about what it could do for you. Now there were a total of 16 records in this game, all types of classical music and jazz. My personal favorite record was Feel. The vocals, the music were all amazing. The song was a certified banger. Realistically, Lies of P is just an album that accidentally came with a really good game. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Now as you can tell, I didn't dive into New Game Plus or talk about the DLC, because at the time of writing the scripts, I wasn't done with either. But at the time of recording, I beat the game in DLC twice. Anyways, I put 30 hours into the base game for my first playthrough, and I really liked it so damn much. I wrote a 13-page script about it. I absolutely loved this game, and it took me by surprise, to be totally honest. The amazing combat, the thrilling and so goddamn interesting world, the cool looking enemies, and interesting story, and spectacular music enamored me. So yeah, if you guys like the video, like it, and let me know if you'd like a video on the DLC, but it's gonna be a minute. I've got a Devil May Cry boss ranking script to finish, but this is why Lies of P was so damn good. Don't forget to like and subscribe.